What's up, guys? So today's video is stop approaching women, do this instead. And I put 100% success rate because it just is. It just is. But it's not going to be what a lot of you want to hear, okay? This isn't a new method of getting women. This is a step-by-step guide of things you need to do to put yourself in the best position to where you will simply attract women, okay? Number one is gonna be consistently work out for 6 months. And I put in parentheses 4 times a week because realistically, that's how many times you're gonna have to go, okay? What this shows is that you can build discipline, you're gonna get increased respect from men and women, and you're gonna become more physically attractive, okay? It's no newsflash that, getting built, getting jacked helps with women. And anyone who tells you it doesn't is lying, okay? So number 2 is build a social circle. And I put in parentheses, doesn't have to be close because it doesn't. These can be, acquaintances that you see once a month. Just basically, you're gonna have to take initiative and make plans with people that maybe they don't even wanna make plans with you, but you need to show them your fun side. Show them that you're someone that they should wanna hang out with. And make a plan, okay? But you need to be getting out there and being social with people, okay? Trying to create a social circle of some kind. Now, when you don't have this, it leads to codependency, which means you're gonna rely on that relationship for all and any of your emotional needs, physical needs, etc., which is gonna push her away eventually, okay? And what it also does is increase your social status. She's gonna say, okay, people actually wanna be around this guy. That's a good sign. If you have no social circle, she's saying, well, why is that? Why doesn't he have any? Well, she's gonna get in her mind about it and she's gonna figure out, okay, no one wants to be around this guy. Number 3 is don't even think about women for 6 months. At least, honestly, at least 6 months, okay? Now, dating when you're not optimized is a waste of time. Like, imagine, the nerdiest, ugliest guy in your high school trying to go talk to the popular girl, trying to go approach the popular girl. That might be what you look like to others around you, okay? You look like this guy who's like a 4, just like a loser, pulling up to some hot chick in a club and thinking that because you had a few drinks, your liquid courage is going to get you the girl. And it's not, okay? It's not. So you need to be optimized mentally, physically, etc., okay? And I put here, be alone now for a greater reward in the future. Isn't that exciting? You can be alone for these 6 months, but no, you're going to end up with something better than if you would just start now, okay? You start now, you're gonna end up with a 3. But if you wait these 6 months, you don't even think about women, you do everything on this list, you're gonna end up with at least a 6, okay? And then another 6 months, you're gonna have a 9, all right? Now look, number 4 is figure out a passion project, okay? Something that can be your number 1 priority. Because there needs to be something that you can prioritize above women. And if you even get a girlfriend, it needs to be above her as well. Something that can really, you feel passionate about. It has to be something you enjoy, and it has to be something that gives you a sense of purpose, okay? There's so many guys who get into something, they say it's their passion, but then at the end of the day, they get burnt out because they don't actually enjoy doing it, okay? You need to enjoy doing it. Number 5 is become more self-aware. There's a lot of you guys out here that kind of just live life like a caveman. That has its pros and its cons, and its cons are this. You need to inspect yourself and say, is my hygiene actually good? Do you brush your teeth and floss every day? Flossing is a big thing, probably bigger than brushing. Do you trim your body hair? Do you wipe your damn ass? Because I've heard a lot of guys don't even do that. They just let the water run down, which is insane to me. So look, you need to inspect yourself very thoroughly. Have some self-awareness, have some bird's eye view of yourself and say, what are my personality quirks? Do I talk too much? Do I act too seriously? When someone says a joke, can I not take a joke? Really think about these things because these are important things. You have to be able to take a joke. You have to be able to know the balance of talking too little and too much. Find a balance, have some self-awareness. And I put down here, look for someone you want to look like. What are their habits? And what is their style like? Like, what clothing do they wear? Do they wear a style that I would want to emulate? And figure that out. Is there someone that, looks like they're a further improved version of me? Like, that's me if I was a 10. That's me in 1 year. That's me in 2 years. Look at that guy. Look at his habits. Look at his style. Emulate it, okay? Emulate it. Number 6, practice listening over talking, okay? Back to that, figure out if you talk too much. And if you do, practice listening over talking. Less talking equals less chance of fumbling. These guys that ramble on and on and on, all you're doing is increasing your chances of saying something that turns the girl off. That's not a good thing to do, okay? Remember, you can't learn if you're talking. Imagine you're in a classroom and the entire time you're talking and the teacher, you're not listening, you're not learning, okay? Same thing on a date. If it's just you talking about yourself, at the end of it, she's gonna be like, he didn't ask anything about me. He doesn't know anything about me. I know his whole life story. I know his hobbies, his habits. He doesn't know anything about me though. So guys, you need to practice listening over talking, okay? People love talking about themselves. So get her talking about herself. Get anybody talking about themselves and they will like you more. Isn't that crazy? You didn't even have to say a word and they still like you more. Isn't that crazy? Like, a lot of people will focus on trying to qualify themselves, saying, oh, I do this, I do that, I'm so interesting. And the person doesn't like them that much, when really all you had to do was just ask them about themselves. Don't talk about yourself to try and get them to like you. Talk about them. Ask about them and they will like you, okay? Number 7, tough one, become comfortable being alone, okay? For me, this was not hard for me to do because I always enjoyed my own presence. I've always been a creator. If you're a consumer, being alone is going to be tough for you. By consumer, I mean somebody who needs to consume, whether that's shopping, watching Netflix, watching TikToks all day. If you're a consumer, you really need something to consume, okay? When you're a creator, you create, you focus on yourself, and you get more things done. Now, something I also do, which is going to sound kind of morbid, is mentally act like you're already alone or could be tomorrow. So imagine, like, I'm acting like my family's already passed away. Like, I'm mentally already preparing for that. And a lot of people, they tune out and they don't want to think about that. And then when it happens, they can't handle it, okay? So what you want to do is kind of like a breakup you know is going to happen down the line. You're kind of mourning it 6 months in advance. Do the same thing with your family. Think about, all your friends and family, they could die literally tomorrow. Make sure you can handle that when it does happen, okay? Just mentally prepare for that very early on, okay? I also put here, become okay with silence, okay? Don't be one of those people who needs to fill every silence. Your TikTok rotting brain needs to fill every silence. That's not a good thing, okay? If you need to do a dopamine detox, do that. Delete all social media. Spend more time outside, just sitting in silence, meditate, stuff like that. Now, take yourself on dates. This is a hard one to get into as well. Take yourself to a movie. That's probably the easiest one to start with. Then take yourself to dinner. Stuff like that, where you figure out how to have a good time on your own, okay? In the first few times, you're not going to have a good time, but you need to just stick with it. And then you'll be like, oh shit, like, I actually enjoy my own thoughts. I actually enjoy my own conversations with myself and just observing other people. And a byproduct of becoming comfortable being alone is that you naturally become good at giving people space. She's actually going to naturally feel that you give her space because you're so focused on what you're doing. You're more comfortable being alone. You're not up her ass wondering what she's doing 24/7. You're more worried about yourself, which is naturally going to give her space. So you naturally become good at giving people space, which makes people like you more. Number 8, really important one here, guys, is if you're in debt, get out of debt. Okay, get out of debt. Dating will only put you further into debt, okay? You can't ever enjoy things fully when you're spending money. I remember I was in debt. I was dating this girl. She wanted to go on a vacation. I said, okay, I'm already, a few thousand in debt. I go on this vacation. Guess what? I'm in more debt now. All on a credit card, but still, you get into more debt. And then you're like, the whole vacation, you're just thinking like, damn, I really should not have spent that $1,000 on the plane ticket. I really shouldn't have rented out that Airbnb. I really shouldn't have went to that restaurant. I really shouldn't have went to that club. The entire time you can't even enjoy it, so there's no point, okay? You feel like an imposter if she doesn't know. You know, you're taking her to these nice places, doing these nice things, and she doesn't actually know that you're in this debt. Like, eventually it's gonna come out maybe, but if she doesn't know about it, you're gonna feel like an imposter. You're like, yeah, you know, I'm cruising in my nice car and, you know, we just went on a vacation. Yeah, Florida. But, you know, I'm negative 6,000 in my bank account. Oh, rough. So guys, get out of debt. Come on, you got to do that before you even think about dating. Number 9, once you get everything together, travel somewhere solo. So go somewhere new. It doesn't have to be somewhere new, but preferably just to make sure that it's more of an experience for you, go somewhere new. Get a new experience, get these exciting stories that you can tell your dates. You know, if you've just been in your hometown your whole life, you're not really going to be interesting. You're not really going to have these interesting stories to tell. You know, go to Bali, get a scar, you know, have a story to tell. Another byproduct of this is that you will know the ins and outs of traveling if you ever have to travel with a woman. Say you're going on a vacation with your girlfriend, you get to the airport and you have no idea what the hell's going on. You're like, where do I get my ticket? Where do I check in? Is my bag heavy? Da-da-da-da-da. You know, you want to know what the hell's going on. You want to be able to lead because the girl is going to be in la la land the entire time you're in the airport. So if you don't know how to lead, you're just going to look like lost puppies in the airport acting all crazy, okay? So travel solo. That way you know the ins and outs. You know how to travel. You know how it works. Can say confidently, like, once we get to the airport, I'll have everything taken care of. She's gonna look at you like, wow, damn, he's such a good leader, okay? Important stuff. Number 10, finally, once you do all this, all that, you wanna put yourself in the right position, okay? So you're not approaching women, you're putting yourself in the right position. So what you're doing is you're gonna have women you know around. So go out when you know there's going to be some women that know you around, okay? Have friends around. Have your guy friends around. Female friends, guy friends, have them all around. Create an accidental introduction. Maybe you see one of your friends talking to some new chick. You're like, hey, I wanna meet that girl. Let me go talk to my friend who's talking to her. And then byproduct will be, I mean, they'll definitely introduce me. You go talk to Ashley, you're like, hey Ashley, what's up? And then she introduces you to Becky. And Becky's like, oh, nice to meet you. And then maybe you can start talking to Becky, okay? But basically you want to put yourself in a position where you're never a stranger, okay? Because if you're approaching as a stranger, your chances are down here. But if you're approaching where somebody knows you, you're here. Girl knows you, here. Girl who's friends with her knows you, here. And then it just keeps adding on and adding on to where that girl will have a high interest level in you just by association, okay? Now, today's day and age, there's a very low success rate on an approach unless you're an 8 and above. And realistically, women see an 8 and above as a jacked guy who's tall, okay? If you're jacked and tall, you can confidently approach women and maybe, you know, you'll have a 20% success rate, okay? But if you're scrawny, you lack confidence, all this stuff, you haven't done any of these, you go approach that woman, you have maybe a 1% chance of getting her, okay? So focus on these, stop approaching women, stop thinking about women, spend 6 months doing these, put yourself in position at the end of it all, and you will get the woman, okay? Now guys, check out some of my other videos for more advice. If you got anything out of this one, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.